Hi, everyone. This is Ray Kidd. I'm with TC Flag Football. I'm the league director and owner of TC Flag Football. This is our Saturday edition where we recap Thursday night football over at the National Blaine Sports Center. We've got a special guest today that I'm excited about bringing on. He's been with the league for as long as the league's been around, to be honest, and he's been involved in the league in a variety of different capacities. And he is no other than Mr. Brandon Nelson. How you doing, sir? I think Brandon can't hear me.
We're good now, I think. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Hey, dude. How's it going?
Good,
Welcome
good.
back. Are you back from Chicago?
Yeah, back from Chicago. Just got in yesterday, and we'll be doing a little bit of back and forth on that. So I'll kind of allude into that a little bit for those viewers. Got some work opportunities that's going to have me going back and forth from Chicago to Minneapolis. Most of that's going to happen after the new year. So, but we'll still continue to have this platform and be able to do the recaps. I've figured out how to get that in my schedule, so we'll be doing that. Now, I've got to say you're competing against me with the amount of skull you got going on in the background.
It's a whole room. Yeah,
that's awesome. Love it. So as I alluded to at the very beginning, you've been around the league since practically its inception. I think the only time that you weren't around was when we were at Hopkins Pavilion, when I was really kind of finding my ground on running the league and whatnot. So you've been around since we very first started. What was your experience like when we first jumped in? And what can you give to the guys who don't know anything about the history of TC from your perspective?
Yeah. I first came back. So I got back from training for the military, and I came back and my buddies were like, we got to do something fun. I got to do something. And we found your ad on Craigslist. So it's kind of interesting that that's how far back this goes, right? We found it on a Craigslist, joined up, signed up. And there was 4 teams, I think. So it was really loose, really recreational. It was a lot of fun just to get out there and kind of compete, but not at a level of, I think, where we're at now in this league. This league has taken a whole different trajectory, and now it's pretty competitive. Part of the reason why now I just ref instead of competing in the league. But no, I think it was from where it started. Again, it was a small kind of just, I think even you started it just to kind of play with your buddies, kind of hang out and just play the game that you love. And now we're kind of here. So just remember where it came from, I guess, to where it is now.
Yeah. And you've played through a variety of different transformations that we've had. When we first started out, we kind of went from a self-snap type situation to that's where we had the center. And then we started to see an evolution of teams come in with game time where, teams would rush with only 2 guys. And now it turned into 3, 4 blitzes, 4-man blitzes and things of that sort. And then obviously you start to see a level of evolution in the game when we started getting more talent that was coming across the board. Guys like Isaac, and I'm trying to think of all the different names that's been come through the league that's helped develop. I mean Mendez in some capacity with his evolution of the game and introduction of 5s and things of that sort. So and obviously you've gotten to see that. You've actually participated in various levels, and you even managed to win a few championships over at Hamlin. Remember those seasons and those glory days? Yeah. So
seems like forever ago now.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's probably been, I want to say, probably close to 10 years or whatever ago. So,
Easily.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like the years are even longer away when we run multiple seasons, and you just kind of, a season you run 4 or 5 leagues in, and or a year you run 4 or 5 seasons in it, and so it kind of makes it even feel like it's been even longer. Um, so now, obviously, you transition from player, team captain to now official, and you've been an official with TC for, I want to say, 4 years. It feels like 4 years. Again, this is one of those things.
I was just gonna say, I think it's one of those. It comes to the seasons; they come back to back. That it kind of feels like it may be longer. And then people still ask me to this day, you come back and play. Do you want to play? And it's like, I think, if I ever came back, it would be for Chris. And I think because Chris has asked me many a times to come back, and I kind of toy with it. And I think I almost play with his emotions sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna come back. He's like, we talk about it, we get to it, and it never happens. Point being is that, yeah, it feels like it's been longer, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be like 2 years. I don't know if it's 4 yet. I hope not. I feel like I don't know. It might be 4.
Yeah, it might be. I want to say it's definitely been past post COVID. So
Yeah.
So it's got to be at least the 4 to 5 year range or what have you.
Sure. Time flies. Okay. Yeah. Probably about 4 years then.
So, with you stepping into the stripes and all that stuff, and I can kind of talk a little bit about this because I know that, when you first came on, you're a guy who's just like, hey, I want to make a little extra, bucks. I want to still be relevant in the league and participate. And I've got the experience from knowing what the league rules are, but obviously you didn't have a foundation of officiating. And, over the last few years, you kind of developed that. You kind of found your ground. I know that when you first started out, you were hella nervous, like everybody else, when they talk about, oh, I want to be a ref. I want to be a ref. And then when they realize that they're in that moment and they got to throw the flag, or they got to make a decision, or they got to make a call, it's a whole different level of emotion and experience, because you play with these guys, them inside and out, how they're going to react when something doesn't go their way. What was that like for you in that transition period, and how do you feel you've come thus far in the last 4 years?
Yeah, I think there's like certain pivotal moments, I think, in starting to ref that I kind of remember back. And this one I remember back when we were playing outdoors somewhere, and the guy caught the ball, and I had everyone kind of around me that I've known for the league for so long. They're all around me, and I'm making this call, and this guy catches the ball, and it was a dramatic, like, it was a beautiful catch. Unfortunately, his feet were 5 yards out of the end zone, whatever. But he makes his play, and I call it a touchdown. And everyone kind of looks at me like, "What are you talking about? He was clearly out." I'm like, "Oh, it's a great catch. He caught the ball." And from those moments, like, that kind of like a shock to me of like, okay, there's a lot of people watching you in these situations. So try to be more cognizant. And so it's like, okay, I want to learn actually how to make these calls. I want to learn how to be a better ref. Stepping away from playing to reffing, I still want to be a part of the game. I still want to be, it's like a family. All these guys I've known for 10 years, and, and you see the people up and coming, and you get to watch all these people, you kind of grow to that. And I didn't want to like just throw that away by not being able to play, or not wanting to play, and not competing at that level. So to ref, it was a good opportunity to be a part of that, but not just be a part of that, but be a better like ref, and be a better, like, you want to go out there and put the best product on the field. So going out there and then learning from those experiences, and even to this day, right? I think even talking to like Taylor and some of the mentors like that, Taylor and Andre, and talking to them, and they really mentored me into like, hey, do this, or make sure you follow the play and finish the play, or hey, this is the hand signal for this. And George has even said it where, make the call, and when you make that call, make the call. Like, get out there and like, that's the call I'm making. That's what I'm standing on. And so I think that's I have a little respect from a lot of the players, I think, where if I make that call, for the most part, I feel like they can understand it. And if I have a reason why I made that call, I'm not just, making a call. So I think that's a key piece in kind of my development as being a ref, is to really just want to be a part of the game, but also be good at that job of reffing. So that was kind of the transition.
Yeah. And I will say, from my perspective, looking at your development and growth as an official, one of the things that I look to you as one of the superior guys that does it very well is not get tied up into your emotions. Like you seem like, hey, dude, this is the call. This is what it is. This is what I've seen. You elaborate and expand upon it in the brief short time that it takes to do that, and then move along with the game. Like, all right, play's over. Let's move on to the next thing.
Right.
And you don't get super like emotional, like mad or anything like that, which, I think adds a different level of value to people who are officiating. I actually hope that, more of our guys who have the opportunity to ref with you, obviously I try to pair certain guys up, for skill set, but at the same time, I do think that there's opportunities where I pair up guys intentionally for developmental purposes to kind of go, hey, I want you to learn from this person, and this is the best way is to get you on the same field. You may not be adequate in skill, and guys who play play in the league may not see that. They may go, well, this guy sucks. Why is he on this field? Well, it's a development opportunity because then he's working with the best ref on that field. And so I think a lot of people don't see that from a development standpoint of running a league. But it's certainly one of those things where I think you benefited long term over the last few years over that. So
yeah, and contrary to popular belief, I don't care who wins a game. Like when it comes to anything, I have a lot of people that I know on each team, and so it's like I really try to call it fair because I want to see, I want to see my friends win and succeed. So I try to call it fair. And so I think to your point is it's as we go along, people need to understand that, and so it helps. That some of these newer refs are on the field and they're not making those calls as confident. They may not have we made this call and I have my explanation on why. They may not have that, but that's something we talk about. And so I can see sometimes. I'll go to the other ref across the field and I'll talk to them and somebody might get mad. Like, well, it's not your call to make. You can't change that guy's mind. I'm not changing their mind. We're merely talking about it. I'm explaining from like, okay, a ref's point of view, this is how it works. And then we make the right call. So I think people need to have that patience, especially with these new refs, because as you know, and the league knows, sometimes we're short refs because people don't want to ref because it's not an ideal job for many people. I've had a great experience with it. Some other people might have a great experience with it, but we lose a lot of refs because, there is hostility towards them, and you got to understand this is a part-time job for all of us. None of us are already professionally, so that's one of the things I'd like to put out there.
Yeah, and that's a solid point. It's one of those things where similar walk up to a newer ref, and I'm not asking them to change their call. A lot of times that the conversations I'm having with them is, what did you see? What can you explain what you saw to get to the point that you felt that there was a penalty? And if there's enough evidence there that, hey, that call's sticking because they're the ones who are in the better position to see it. And if they can sit there and articulate it through the questions I'm asking, they might not be able to feel confident to announce it right in front of everybody. But if they can turn around and talk with me in a simple conversation of saying, yes, I saw the guy, he reached over, the ball was across the line of scrimmage before the flag was pulled. Okay, yeah, first down or it's a touchdown or whatever, right? And you just stick with that call. So, and it allows them to get that confidence built up, even though it's not necessarily, again, announcing to everybody. They're at least building that knowledge up and understanding, hey, when I talk to somebody about this, these are the things that they're going to be looking for in specificity of the rule or what have you.
Yeah, and I think that's like, and everyone knows who plays the game. It can get heated. It can get, you're in a high intense situation. And so some of these players that you have a lot of respect for, you see these big name players, right? If Ski comes to you, and we've seen Ski on various levels above TC. If Ski's coming at you and he's yelling at you about a call, if you're a younger ref or a newer ref with less experience and you're hearing that from a player, you could be influenced by that because you're like, oh, okay, this guy's yelling at me. He's intense. I don't have the confidence to come back to that and dispute that. So that's where sometimes I'll go and have that conversation with that other ref to ensure that, like, hey, I'm trusting your call. I understand your call. This is the right call. And then maybe I'm the one articulating it to Ski or somebody else. I just use this example.
Yeah.
He's great. So I don't put that one there.
Yeah. So that brings to a question, when it comes down to like end of the game, clutch moments, things of that sort. How do you feel when it comes to those moments? Do you want to be the ref that has to make those calls, or do you want to be the guy who absolutely doesn't want to make the call and let the play just play?
Man, if I could just let it play out and never be involved in that situation, I mean, that's ideal. That's what I love, right? But I call the game how I see it. And again, it comes back to that point of I don't care who wins this game. I have no skin in it. When I go home, I leave and I clock out per se, right? I don't care who won. Like I have people on all over the place that I'm like, I really want to see you win. So I don't want to be a part of the game. I don't want to have to. I think obviously, there's that last weekend we had the kind of the thing in the Fives Championship where it was kind of maybe we're a part of the game more. We're definitely part of the game more than I wanted to be, but we're part of the game. But we called it by the rules. I mean, there's videos out there, there's evidence, there's shows that hey, we were right. It sucks. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to have to make that call. So no, I don't want to be a part of that game at all. Right, especially on maybe on the opposite side of an inadvertent whistle or something like that. Like, I don't want to be that guy who blows that whistle wrong. So sometimes I delay at blowing a whistle, right? So I'm going to let that play develop. I'm going to let that play finish. Okay, actually, it was dead back here, right? So I might change that partway through. But that's, again, I don't want to be a part of that game. I don't want to be – I'm just there to make sure that we have a fair game.
Yeah, and I'm the same way, and I encourage most of our other officials that if there's not necessarily a need to be involved, then don't be involved. But obviously, at the same time, you got to make the call when it's appropriate, because obviously that's just as valuable to showing fair and non-bias. And so yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'd rather let the game have zero penalties if all possible, right, and just be a spectator and be like, all right, I'm just here to keep the time and the score,
right.
the basic fundamentals of a game. So
get to watch some competitive football. Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm there for. Right.
And sometimes, I mean, that's awesome to be able to be in that opportunity to sit there and watch these plays and then watch the game develop. It's almost like its own storyline in some instances where you get these climatic endings and things of that sort. You're just like, and yeah, you're going to root for a great game. And sometimes you internally root for a team, not out of bias, but out of just, hey, this would be an awesome ending. But
sure,
you're at the same time as a professional in that spectrum, you kind of have them go, well, you got to let things play out as they may,
Just as if I turned on any last night, right? We watched a high school championship. I don't have a skin in the game. It was Edina, Moorhead. I don't care who wins, but it was a cool story when I flip it on and everyone has the hate for Edina, right? But Moorhead's down. You start rooting for Moorhead. I don't really care who wins, but hey, I want the story, right? I want the underdog to story. It didn't pan out, but again, it's kind of like that where it's I'm flipping on a game to watch a game for the love of the game versus.
Yeah. And, you probably do the same thing when you're watching Vikings football. You're sitting there, obviously you're rooting for the team, but, I know for a fact with me that it kills me because there's times where I'm sitting in the stands and there's fellow Viking fans. They're all rooting for the same thing, the same team. And they're sitting there and they're like, oh, that was PI. Oh, that was this. And where's the flag? And blah, blah, blah. And you're like, there's no penalty.
Yeah.
That's right. Or,
right.
The ref called it right. It sucks, but it's right. How many times do you happen to see that or have that internal mentality as a ref?
Right. At the game, like when I'm watching the game, it's funny to hear a lot of the chatter on the sidelines, and then they're like, some of the newer teams I think come up and maybe they haven't played the game or they don't know me, and I've been around the game for 15, minus give or take a year or two, right? Just been around the game for a really long time. And so like they'll see something, they're like, "Oh, you missed that call," and you're like, "Actually, I'm not gonna take the time to explain it to them, obviously in that situation, but it's like that's not a penalty. Here's why, right?" So I gave them maybe like a brief, like that's not a penalty because of this, but I'm not gonna get into it. But it's funny to hear like the chatter on the sidelines when I think you watch the video of the Fives, and I won't bring it up much, but after the play, somebody's like, why was there a flag guard thrown? And it's like it's funny because looking back, you can go rewind the tape and you can see it. But in that moment, that player, whoever said that in the video, they don't see that. They didn't see that play. So then they're like, oh, the ref's wrong. That's BS. You got to understand, I'm on the field at that spot, at that location, looking for that specific thing. You may be 30 yards down the field. You'd have a different view. So it's just it's same thing as like a Vikings fan in the stands. You're in section 200, right? How am I seeing what different than that ref is seeing right in front of him? I'm not saying refs don't miss calls, but at the same time, you got to understand.
That, and that's a solid point there that I cannot express enough. When I get so many emails, and you wouldn't believe how many videos I get of clips of games and things of that sort of why was this called this, or why was that missed, or blah, blah, blah. And the ref is being biased, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, number one, are you standing exactly where that ref is standing? Are you seeing the same thing? I had one, as a matter of fact, that was sent to me for Thursday night about a guy who got called for a flag guard. And it was so bang in a play that when I saw it, it looked like the guy stiff-armed off of a spin move, right? And the defender's reaction was relatively the same as what you expect out of a stiff arm, where his body kind of comes back away from the play. And I'm going, yeah, that kind of looked like a stiff arm. But then I slow it down frame by frame, and I don't see the arm go out. And I'm like, that's a call that I would have to ask, where was the ref position? Because if I see that from a different angle, I mean, even at seeing it at full speed, I was like, yeah, it's a stiff arm. But it wasn't until I slowed it down. We don't have that capability to slow plays down,
Right,
especially over something as minimal as a flag guard or a stiff arm. I mean, I get it. Those are big plays, especially if there's offensive advantage. And the result of it comes down to a first down or a touchdown or whatever, right?
Sure.
But it's in those moments that you're kind of looking for these things. And again, the first question I'm asking is, are you standing in the same spot as the ref? Because if you're not, that's going to be 10 times more difficult to even justify where you're standing and where they're standing, what they see, what you don't see. I also have it from how many times have you loved this, where you get a guy who's screaming about you didn't throw a flag, but you're obstructed by either that player's team or other opposition, so you don't have a clear line of sight, and you're just like, I can't call it. I didn't see it. And when they're like, "Oh, you freaking blind?" No, I'm not blind.
I can't see through people. I can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have Superman X-ray vision,
Or it's the one where they're on the. There's also another one where somebody from that team comes up to you and they're talking to you about a play, like the last play or something like that, and they continuously hounding you about this play, and then you might miss something here. I'm like, that's because you're yelling at me, and I can't multitask here. I'm not able to listen to you yell at me. Do this, and like, so obviously at times we're like, hey, stop. But right, it's kind of like if players just give us a space to let us do our job, we'll do it to the best of our abilities.
And I think a lot of guys don't really understand that either when it comes down to, you're reffing a game and you're trying to do as best you can. You got this nagging gnat in your ear all the way through the game, blah, 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 this, that, time, this, that, whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to do my job here. But if you're constantly in my ear, you're now becoming the distraction.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, when guys do that, what they don't realize, it actually instigates issues, because then I'm now going, you're just being a nag to me. And if you're going to continue to do that and you're going to pester away at me, then I'm more probably going to be attentive to throwing more flags to your team, just because you're being such a nag.
Right. It's not going to benefit you in any way. Yelling at me or doing that's not going to help you. I'm not changing a call because of it. It's not going to help you. It's going to, like you said, it might make it worse the other way. Not intentionally, but it's more of just like, now I may be hyper aware of something you're doing because you've just made yourself really known. So now if you grab a guy's jersey lightly that I might not call a pass interference or I might not call a holding, I'm now calling it because I'm more, I'm hyper aware of you because you've just yelled at me for the past 15 minutes.
Right.
It's not like I'm intentionally throwing it on you, but now I'm a little more critical of you because you want me to watch this. That's fine. I'll watch it now. We're watching it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Careful what you ask for, I guess.
Yeah. So, Thursday Night League versus Saturday Night League. What's your perspective of these teams this season? And, from a ref's, point of view, do you feel like it's gotten a little bit more competitive over the last few seasons, especially, since TC's taken over the Blaine National Sports Center Flag Football League?
Yeah. I love it. I love to see the growth. I love to see where I know what it was because I played in the Thursday Night League a few times before TC took over. And then, coming back to now, like reffing it and seeing it when TC took over. Yeah, they had teams there before. I know there was some down years or down seasons again because we go through the summer and we come here. But I think it's gotten a lot more competitive. I think it's good to see some of the new teams. I think this year or this season, right, you've done something different where you have the free agent teams, but it's led by somebody that's like a league veteran. I think that's great. I think that really helps develop some of those guys who've never played before. Like, I think, teams specifically, like the Purple People Eaters, seeing them out there and like knowing that some of these guys have never played football before, right? So then they're out there running around and like just to see kind of the mechanics of different things. But then to go on the other side and you see the flip side, you see the end zone maniacs, you see the diversity, you see those teams with us like filled with veterans. It's really cool to see. And I think this season specifically, have really between Saturdays and Thursdays. I think the competition level has really kind of came, and they're very similar. I mean, I still think Saturdays have the edge. I think that's the more like the Friday Night Lights theme, right, where it's the big night we're playing here. But I think the competitiveness on both sides is really showing up, and I don't know if it's because maybe some of the teams have transferred over to Thursdays, whatever the reason is. I think it's really cool to see the competitiveness on both sides, and that Thursdays have really become developed into what Saturdays is.
Yeah, and just to kind of clarify, your definition of competitiveness is probably the balance of the games themselves,
Sure.
as opposed to the talent. We'll just kind of make
There we
sure
go.
we're getting that straight here, because the talent is very vastly different between Saturdays
100%.
and Fridays. But I would agree the level of competitiveness, meaning the closeness of the games, the action of the games, are more balanced across Thursday nights, honestly, I think, than Saturdays. But I do think that Thursdays is kind of getting there with the talent, as there's more and more guys that have been playing from Saturdays, and there's more new players that are being infused into Thursday nights, because we're having so many free agents that are just saying, hey, I want to sign up, I want to play as an individual, don't have a team, and we're kind of figuring that path out to get players playing. So, and I think that's going to really stream into more guys playing into Saturdays, because we've seen that too. We've seen some Thursday night guys transition over to the Saturday Night League. And so all in all, I think the process of how we've introduced new free agents into the league is going to, reap, significant benefits to TC overall. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I won't even piggyback on it. That's perfect. I think that's a great way to put it. It's the talent level, right? It's not there's certain individual players that are elite that are on the Saturdays, but I think as a whole, competitiveness.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Brandon, we sucked up about 25 minutes of time here with you, and I could keep on talking with you all day, because me and you have that type of relationship where we obviously see each other on Sundays at football and Saturday nights and even Thursday nights, and almost feel like I see you more than my own wife.
So, I can see that. Yeah. We do talk quite often, so it's
yeah. So it's been a pleasure, and thank you again for the time. Just wanted to obviously get some perspective from another side of the fence within TC, the ref side, and we'll continue to do this we're bringing on other special guests with different perspectives of how TC is ran and their interactions with it, and not just with TC, but again in flag football in general. So thank you again for the time that you've spent with us, and look forward to seeing you later tonight. You'll be at the fields reffing and in the stripes. So hopefully those guys are nice to you with a little insider perspective now. So
hopefully they watch this and they get back to that. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here and kind of speak to this. This is a good opportunity, and keep doing what you're doing with the league. It's doing great. Obviously it's flourishing at this point. So yeah. Thank you for the time.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Brandon Nelson. And if you're interested in, signing up for our league, we've got our Thursday night registration open right now. Early bird is still going on up until next week. I believe it's next Friday. Register. You can sign up as a team or individual for our league. Obviously, these are team rates. If you want to do the individual rates, just go to register online at tcflagfootball.com. There's very much a variety of information there. We've got two different divisions: Warrior, which is strictly recreational. You're learning your footing into the flag football league and community. Titan is that semi-competitive format, which is going to certainly bring your game level up. Definitely would recommend that individuals who sign up for Titan must know, basic fundamentals of football, downs, distance, how certain routes are, ran, what a difference between a cover 2, cover 3 defense is, because if you don't know those, then you probably want to be in the recreational level. So again, sign up today, get in on a team. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shift over. We're going to talk about Thursday night results, and we're going to jump into the Warrior division first. So I'm going to flip on here. I got the scores down at the bottom here, and let me get the standings for everybody here. All right, so here we are. Warrior division. So these are our lower level rec level teams. At the top of the division, we've got Yard Dogs, followed by Fourth and Drunk, Bucks, No Strings Attached, Purple People Eaters, and Reapers. The significant movement was the People Eaters. They dropped 4 spots from where they were last week. They took a couple of losses. Reapers also didn't benefit too well from their performance this week. Bucks did show up and get a couple of wins, and we can go into those scores down here at the bottom again. Get to where this is at here. So just letting it get back to the beginning here because I threw my timing off on when I talked about this. Okay, so again, this is week 3 results. We got Fourth and Drunk. They win pretty confidently against Reapers 20-6. Yard Dogs lose to Bucks 12-13. Purple Eaters versus No Strings Attached. No Strings Attached wins confidently 22-14. And then you got Bucks versus Purple People Eaters, and the Bucks win 12-8. No Strings Attached take a donut against Fourth and Drunk, as Fourth and Drunk wins 6-0. And then Yard Dogs handle the Reapers 12-7 in a close game. So we're about midway through the season here with these teams or with these games. So will say though that again, this level will probably be a lot closer when it comes down to playoffs. These games are fairly close in terms of one-score games. So looking forward to the rest of the season developing out. We'll move along to the Titan division. Titan division, Enzo Maniacs are leading the way, 5-1. They moved up 2 spots. They got a couple of wins. Diversity University stays where they're at with 4-1-1 record. Clap Central drops a couple of spots from the top spot as they took a loss this week. Knights finally find a way to win a couple of games this week. Congratulations, guys, on getting into that win column. Matamia goal, they're kind of figuring out, and they have had the win, loss, and a tie, I believe, this week. And then Diddlers still looking for their first win of the season, but have managed to get a tie. I believe it was this week. We'll go through the scores here. So Diversity University lose a close one to Enzo Maniacs 21-19. Clap Central versus Matamia Gold. Clap Central wins 20-6. Diddlers lose to the Knights, and Clap Central takes a loss against Matamia Gold 20-12. The tie, as mentioned, Matamia Gold versus Diddlers 6-6. And then Knights versus Diversity University, they lose a close one against EU 14-12. Diddlers lose 6-7 to Enzo Maniacs, and any teenage kids going crazy right now, 6-7. And then we got Diversity University winning against Diddlers 14-6. And let's see here. I missed the last score. My apologies on that. I'll have to get better at reading those off pretty quickly here. Moving along here. Want to give a reminder, next week we're on a bye for Thanksgiving, so hope everybody enjoys their time off. After the Thanksgiving bye, we do return back, and so here are some of the games. Just a reminder for some of those teams, we did a flip around for scheduling, so the teams that have been playing predominantly early games now move to the late games, and late games now move to the early games. So Titan, who had been playing later games, will now take the 9 o'clock starts, and we begin with Diddlers versus Enzo Maniacs, Clap Central versus Diversity University, Matamia Gold versus the Knights, and then the second round of games will kick off at 9:45 with Diddlers versus Diversity University, Matamia Gold versus Enzo Maniacs, and Clap Central versus the Knights. And that's all at the National Sports Center. And again, with the Warriors, this is the rec level. They start again at later in the evening, 10:30. We got Fourth and Drunk versus the Bucks, Purple People Eaters versus Yard Dogs, and No Strings Attached versus Reapers at the 10:30 start. And then at 11:15, Fourth and Drunk versus Yard Dogs, No Strings Attached versus Bucks, and Purple People Eaters versus Reapers. Just kind of do a quick other reminder here, and this is primarily for our Saturday Night League. We do have teams that are on a bye tonight, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know we got Saturday guys that kind of watch these from time to time. So there's no game for Enzo Maniacs versus BTA, no game for Enzo Maniacs and BTA, no game for Magnum and Kanyum Shim. Also, again, those guys have a bye next Saturday, so they will not return until the first weekend in December. As I'm touching base on Saturday Night League, we also have registrations open for Saturday nights. Early bird closes out tonight. If you're trying to register, you got to do that tonight to lock in that early bird discount. Otherwise, it goes to $1,000 starting tomorrow up until December 20th. Teams who register late will have to pay the extra late fee. We do have 3 divisions for our Saturday Night League. That is Warrior, Titan, and Gladiator. Again, we've left enough space for 32 teams to jump into this. Does this mean we're going to get 32? That's all subjective to the teams that sign up. The season will run January 3rd to February 28th. You can sign up today at tcflagfootball.com. I'm going to go back over to the other one, the Thursday night one, because I didn't talk about the dates. The dates are from January 8th to 26th for that league. So again, you can register for either league or both leagues as an individual or as a team at tcflagfootball.com. So that is about it. So thank you everybody for watching. We will do Saturday's recap for tonight's games on Tuesday night, and then we'll be off for the week. We may have a special presentation of Unscripted and Unplugged next week. I'll just kind of have to see who's available and if there's interest, but otherwise we may not have this for Saturday because there is no Thursday Night League next week. So thank you all for watching. And as always, if you want to follow TC Flag Football, you can do that at our Facebook page. We also have a TikTok channel and a YouTube. And obviously we have our own website at tcflagfootball.com. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.